Welcome to Grow My Etsy Shop podcast, the drips of knowledge you need to start growing.
Hey, welcome. So there's this thing in tech that if you were looking to push something out to the masses, you could know what is going to work by the adult industry. And that's because the adult industry targets lust, and lust is something that men will pay money for. And it's actually one of the number one ways to attract a man is through lust. Women is beauty. And so if we look at the adult industry, we can see a lot of cutting edge tech that takes place in the adult industry first before it moves mainstream. So an example of this was that the adult industry was the first to stream videos way before YouTube. Even live stream videos before Twitch and all of those things, they were doing that. Online payments, they existed and had a way to pay online before, like PayPal and all these kind of stuff. Like, they tend to give us a glimpse of what's going to work. VR is another section of this. And so when we look at the adult industry and we look at AI, we can kind of get a glimpse of what it is that's sociably acceptable. This isn't, first of all, let me say this. This isn't my own research. This is what I've been reading and studying up on. It sounds even more pervy when I say it like that, but follow me here. We are at this big pivot of AI, right? And so anytime we're in this situation, you can look to the adult industry to kind of be like, all right, what are people paying for? Because they're most likely going to create things that mimic that in a more PG form. So I had ChatGPT do a deep research for me, and I asked it these questions. What's happening? What's going on? What's the percentage of AI dripping into the adult industry? And it was shockingly high. This means, and from what I was reading from this, is that people, they're not tricking people into thinking that it's real. It's just that it looks, and then this is the term I want to use, real enough. So what we're learning is that people are willing to consume AI media as long as it's real enough. And I think we're at that stage right now where we're starting to see it look more realistic, but we still have an eye for it. And if you're someone who dabbles in AI stuff, you've got a really good eye for it. You'll be able to see, oh yeah, that listing's AI, or that picture's AI, or that video's AI, and quickly figure that out. But that gap is going to get less and less, and it's where a lot of AI tech is putting their efforts towards, is trying to eliminate that gap between real and not real. And so when I look at this and say, well, where's the human tolerance between it needs to be 100% real and real enough? We can see that in the adult industry, that real enough is acceptable. Now, if you want to go down a deep rabbit hole here, you could start to think about, all right, currently content creators sort of influence what's taking place, at least from a social media standpoint. Something that's going to go viral, something that's going to be a trend, something that's going to work. A lot of that is structured through content creators. But if we remove content creators, the human aspect of a content creator, then we would have AI be able to do that. And even deeper, we could have that AI be very specific to a particular audience. So for example, I have a particular look. I have long hair. I have a beard. I could follow AI people who have similar body shapes or similar looks or similar coloring and see what they're wearing, what's going to look good on them. And that's going to be more tailored to me, and I don't necessarily have to go find, if you've ever seen that guy that sings on social media, what's his name? Sam Wright? I got to look it up. Hold on. Sam Ryder is his name. If you know who that is, when I lived in the Dominican Republic, I got stopped all the time because people thought I was him. But anyway, he just has the same coloring as me. But what we're seeing is that AI can curate so much more towards a specific person, and that you could have control over what you wanted to see. So in this example, I could see someone who had more my coloring, more my look, and then see the fashion or the style that I like and then have that be curated towards me. It doesn't have to be a real person. It just needs to be real enough that I can look at it and get inspiration from that. So in the adult industry, they're using AI to curate based on what's being searched instead of having to go out and film and work through all this. And you could just be like, what is it that you like? And now it can be created and looked real enough that it works for you. I feel weird having this conversation. Social media will, my guess, this is a guess at this point, start to swing that direction as soon as because what I'm learning is we're okay with real enough. And if real enough, and I think that there's probably some people listening to this podcast who are like, no. I will not. And that's probably true today. But when it comes to a spot, I think I remember this with ChatGPT, and there was this, and I've watched people slowly start to say, oh my gosh, this is actually really helpful. Oh my gosh. And that's how it's going to start. It's going to start as this is really a helpful thing. If you've ever taken a picture with ChatGPT of your kitchen and said, hey, I'd like it to look more like this. Can you help me? You'll be surprised on what it can do. Take a picture of your backyard and say, hey, I'd like you to add some trees in here and let me see what this looks like. It can do it. It's helpful. And so we're seeing that this is something that people are comfortable with. Now, my dark rabbit hole of this is that I have a hard time with wrapping my brain around the idea that we already have an algorithm that no one really quite trusts, that bubbles people so much. You know, there's this, and this is such a great thing to know and remind yourself often, is that a lot of the times we see our feed and we think that that's what everyone else is seeing. And so we then look to people who don't see eye to eye with us, and we're like, how do they not see eye to eye to us when our social media is promoting so much logic, right? So just think of the right and the left. Let's just use that because it's a very polarizing point. The right is going to have very right-wing propaganda brought to them. They're going to see the dumb left and all the extreme things that are going on there and all the crazy stuff, and they're going to cement themselves more in their belief system. And that's where attention and root comes in, because if the algorithm can get you to feel like it's reading your mind and it's giving you what you want and it's validating your feelings and it can stir this us versus them mentality, it's going to steal your time. And the exact same thing could be happening to your neighbor, but from the other side. They're going to see the most outlandish claims from the right. They're going to see the stupidity of the arguments, and they're going to just be like, how do they not see what I see? But the answer is because you're trapped in an echo chamber that's promoting content that you have given your attention to, and its job is to keep you. So now when we go down our deep rabbit hole here, currently that's done through creators who have kind of figured out how to do this, and then trying to manipulate an algorithm to work towards their favor. What could happen with AI generated content is that the algorithm itself can create the content. Oh, that's where things get a little scary, because now we already have this big tech, we already have these kind of leaders of America that have kind of our attention, and now they would get to choose what their creators say. So that's your deep rabbit hole, not to spook you. So now let's swing this into, now that we want to raid the streets and say, stop, we got to figure out how we're going to adapt. So we are Etsy sellers, and we are seeing, and you've probably heard the term AI slop kind of move its way in. And what it's doing is it's lessening the gap of someone who can be very creative and has access to really great photography, and it's making it so that someone who doesn't can stand out. We've already seen this happen before. When I was selling on Etsy, you had to have a nice DSL camera. Otherwise, if you were taking pictures from your phone, forget about it. It was very obvious. They were bad. And so you had to invest in a $400 and up camera to stand out. And then the old iPhone started to make its way in, and pretty soon people realized, dude, I can just do this from my iPhone. And from, where I was sitting here messing with my manual settings and getting this all perfect, eventually, just take out my phone and take the same picture. And it lessened the gap. What used to make me stand out, now I was watching competitors come in who could do what I was doing on my expensive camera on their phone. Well, we are seeing that gap now become even tighter as people are able to take normal pictures and turn them into masterpieces through AI. But we've also seen the opposite, where people use AI too much. And this is where we get into is it real enough? I had a conversation with someone the other day who just kind of said to me, I was looking at her photos. She had beautiful photos. I was like, you just can't scale what you're doing. So you have a lot of products, and if we want to promote things and get stuff out and start testing the waters and seeing what direction we can truly go with this, we need to be able to pump out listings faster than what you're currently able to do. And her response more or less was, I don't want to use AI. I don't. I say, who's that guy that says that? I won't. Oh, Ferris Bueller Day Off. Anyway. And I'm like, I hear you. I get it. I'm with you. I feel the same way. And her argument was, I can tell. I can tell when it's AI. But I want to echo this back to you. Is it good enough? Good enough. Because what we're learning from the adult industry is that if it's good enough, real enough, that we appreciate it. Oh, I'm with you guys. Trust me, I'm with you. But I'm just speaking what we're seeing. And I remember someone saying this about a year ago. It was actually someone sent me a recording of an inside mastermind group of this guy that was really smart. Don't tell him that his stuff is leaked to me. His name was Chris Moore or something like that. And it got sent to me and I was watching it. And he was talking about this principle. And I remember at the time, think about it, a year ago, I was like, dude, no. No one is going to accept real enough. Because it's the human. And I've watched that pendulum start to swing. Now, the question is our AI good enough right now? And the answer is, if you've tried it, it is difficult. Now, I'm going to teach you a way right now that I have found works the best. The other day, I needed a Bigfoot hand to be holding a sticker. And I went into Gemini and I said, hey, here's the sticker. I want you to put this into a Bigfoot hand, holding it up, woodsy background, the whole prompt. And it was terrible. I'll post them in my school group for people to see, but it was just pretty much like Bigfoot's hand with like these tiny stickers in it, and the Bigfoot's hand was really big, but also the background that they put it against was like there was a hammer in the background that was tiny. And I was like, what is this? So then I'm like, sent a picture of Bigfoot's hand. Like I pulled it out of Google and I gave it to Gemini and I was like, hey, this is the Bigfoot hand I'd like you to use. Here we go. And it put those Bigfoot hand on the fingers of the Bigfoot they already created. I fought with AI for a while on this, and I was like, this is ridiculous. It should be able to do this. I can't believe it can't do it. So then I took a picture of my own hand holding a piece of paper, like a cutout piece of paper, and I said, use this. And it couldn't. It just floundered. So I went in, talked to one of my buddies who has an agency that's very AI oriented, and he gave me some advice. I'm going to give you the same advice. He said, get it done a step at a time. This is what you're asking is for too much right now. So get it done a step at a time. So I started a new thread. That picture of my hand holding the piece of paper, just how I wanted Bigfoot holding the sticker. I said to it first, can you make my hand a Bigfoot hand? And it did. It just replaced, the background stayed the same, the piece of paper I was holding stayed the same, but my hand became a Bigfoot hand. The way that my fingers were holding the piece of paper stayed the same, the whole thing. I then said, can you put this sticker, and I sent the picture of the sticker, in his hand, replacing the white piece of paper. And it did, but it was just a little bit lower. So then I said to it, hey, can you raise that sticker up a bit? And it did. I then said, hey, can you remove the background of this and make it so it's in a wooded background? And it did. So now this picture, which before, when I was fighting with it, trying to say, hey, here's all my prompts, get it done, it didn't work. But when I said, hey, here's a picture or an outline, and this is what my AI guy told me, is he said, a lot of the times you can draw what it is that you're looking for. So if it's having a hard time, draw it out on a piece of paper. This is what I want. This is what I'm looking for, and give it that. Or if you can pose your own version, like what I did. And then he says, have you change it just one thing at a time. So I want just the background change right now. I want just this change right now. I want just this change right now. The advice I give my sellers is I say, if you can get your picture, a nice picture of your product with a white background, you could put whatever you want in the background. AI has mastered that. It's manipulating the products where it struggles a bit more, especially with scale. So when you're trying to have something be the person I'm speaking about who was like, hey, I know, her thing was the coloring is slightly off. And in my product, I have a hard time with that. And I get that. But if we white background what we're doing and we are able to use AI to create and this is where this swings full circle here, the vibe of our customer. So keep in mind, if we go back to this Sam Ryder guy, like I said, he has my coloring, he has my look. So yeah, do I look at what he's wearing? I do, because it looks good on him. And I'm like, hey, you and I, we look alike. So, I mean, I'm the Temu version of him, but we have a similar vibe. What do you got on? Oh, that looks good on you. Oh, that looks weird on you. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? I pull stuff from this guy. So we can do the same thing with our product, is that we can know, hey, people are going to be buying. I was meeting with someone yesterday. She sells jewelry organizers. We kind of were talking about keywords. She's really great at what she's doing. She's got a lot, like several listings that have 20 add to carts on them, bestsellers, all this kind of stuff. And she's very heavily saturated in that keyword, jewelry organizer, necklace hangers, so on and so forth. And I said, you should be blowing up during Mother's Day. She has all the different sizes, all the different things, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, this is something that if your mom wore a lot of jewelry, this is what you'd want to buy her. She would love it. She says, no, I'm not going on during Mother's Day. I said, well, let's look at your keywords. Let's look at that. This is a great example where she could say, all right, I'm going to take my product that I currently have, and I'm going to target Mother's Day with it, but then I'm going to make the listing geared towards someone buying for their mom. And so now it can look more like a gift. It can sit more in a what we would imagine their mom's home to look like, or room to look like, or where it's going to be, and show it. And one of the things we were learning going through her shop the other day, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday, was that people loved, and her best sellers always showed the most function. So even if it was a stretch, well, it can also be used for this, it can also be used for this. Those were her best sellers because it initiated that, or ignited that justification, where I don't have a ton of bracelets, but it can hold bracelets. I may not have a ton of necklaces, but it can hold a ton of necklaces. That's that justifying that's taking place. And so when we kind of were recognizing that and saying, like, look, let's make sure we emphasize this. This is something that AI could add those things in. It can help her emphasize this stuff. It can make it so that it's more of a Mother's Day gift and present it this way. So I'm at that stage where I don't necessarily love AI at the front picture, but I love it within the listing because you can curate towards your target audience better. So instead of just taking generic pictures, which is what we kind of do now, and then posting them up, we can think about this Bigfoot guy I'm doing. Like, what am I doing? I'm creating a vibe. I'm creating a look for this, and I'm targeting very much the Bigfoot lover or the believer, we'll call him, in this. And so you have the ability to do the same thing, and we can see this is what society is accepting. So my challenge for you today is to kind of look at some of that stuff that you feel like, yeah, I could promote more towards this style of person and create listings towards that person with the help of some of the AI tools that are out there. The one that I think is the best right now, and this could change tomorrow, is Nano Banana. And it's Google Gemini's version of that. And so I think it does well. I tend to, ChatGPT has a very filter on it. It's almost cartoony looking. I would avoid anything with people, faces. None of that's going to look overly real to you. So if like you don't want to have like for Mother's Day a mom opening it and like a surprised look on her face, like you are gonna get garbage if that's what you're asking for. But adding a background to something or a color scheme or something like that, AI can be really, really helpful and save you a lot of time in that. And again, as long as it's real enough, and you may look at that and say, I don't know, I can kind of tell it's AI. That's fine, as long as it's real enough. Okay, guys, till next week. Oh, I was going to share that I'm doing the growth program in May. And so now's your time to start putting your name on the list. And when you put your name on the list, I go through it and I send you a little video of your shop and if I think you'd be a good fit and why I think you'd be a good fit. And we talk about the program. So it's kind of a cool thing. Yeah, I think that's it. You get access to the school group. You're in. You got all the library, the library of records, that's what it's called. Should know my own stuff, which is like anytime I'm coaching. So like in these scenarios where I'm coaching people and I'm having these conversations, I pull stuff out. I'm like, oh, that's a really good question. Here was my coaching answer for it. It goes in there. So you have just access to this library that's always being updated. You get community, and then you obviously get the growth program and some other the modules that I have in there, which I think is pretty good stuff. So check it out.